Tonight on WCNC Charlotte at 11, we start with breaking news. A verdict in the week-long trial against CMS connected to an alleged sex assault on campus.
Tonight, a jury of 8 sided with the school district, saying CMS did not violate the Title IX rights of a former student known as Jane Doe in this case. Doe was suing because she said the district did not do enough to protect her. WCNC Charlotte's Shamaria Morrison has been in the courtroom for many days, explaining now how we got to this point.
In court this week, Jane Doe's lawyers tried to establish that CMS officials who were at Myers Park High School were deliberately indifferent to her reported sexual assault. They did this throughout the week in 2 separate ways. The first was they tried to establish that those people at Myers Park knew that there was a culture of sexual assault happening on the campus and that the proper officials, that they weren't doing enough to stop this. And since they weren't doing enough to stop this, in turn, it allowed for the sexual assault of Jane Doe to eventually happen. The second way they tried to establish that they were being indifferent to Jane Doe's reports of sexual assault was how officials at Myers Park during the incident responded after to her reported sexual assault. One example they gave, and they continued to harp on, was that after Jane Doe was sexually assaulted, she went to the front office. She was with an assistant principal. That assistant principal did say he tried to speak to Jane Doe, but her parents said that she needed to go to the hospital for a sexual assault rape kit. Well, Jane Doe's lawyers say after this happened, that assistant principal should have continued to try to get some type of formal statement from Jane Doe, but because he did not follow up after the day of, or even a few days after with Jane Doe, that he was being deliberately indifferent and did not properly investigate her sexual assault claims. And on the opposite side of things, CMS's lawyers were arguing that they were not deliberately indifferent to her reports of sexual assault. They say they continue to try to get a statement from Jane Doe, but her parents rebuffed them at every opportunity. When it came to that interaction in the front office with the assistant principal, they said, again, they made clear that they needed to speak to Jane Doe, but instead, her parents took her off campus to go to a hospital, and they didn't want to push after that. In addition, they said there was an email a few days after the alleged sexual assault where Jane Doe's mother said that she would not be speaking to any CMS officials about what happened. They said they took that as a door being closed, that they could no longer talk to Jane Doe, so that prompted them to close the investigation. Again, arguing this is not deliberate indifference, that they tried to get in contact with Jane Doe on multiple occasions, but her parents wouldn't allow them. Shamaria Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
Now, Shay also tells us that the jury deliberated for close to 3 hours, and they had to come to a unanimous verdict on 4 questions.
The first 3 regarded Myers Park High School's status as a Title IX school, if an assault happened, and if Jane Doe let the appropriate person know. The jury answered yes to all 3 questions. For
the 4th question, to which the jury answered no, was if CMS was deliberately indifferent to Doe's claims of sexual assault. Tonight, CMS releasing a statement saying that it is grateful the jury reached this decision.
And the lawyer for Jane Doe also spoke about the verdict. Take a listen.
Obviously, we're very disappointed with the verdict. It is, a lot for these victims to come forward and tell the horrible details about what happened to them. But we're just incredibly proud to have been a part of this case. Because of Jane Doe, so many other survivors have come forward and exposed their treatment at the hands of CMPD and CMS. And we just could not be prouder of them for having the bravery to do this.
You can see all of our coverage on this saga by heading to our website, WCNC.com, or using our app.